Welcome to the latest edition of Russia Unmasked from the Center for Russian Studies in Kyiv. This week we challenge propaganda published by the Kremlin against Ukraine and share Ukrainian perspectives. My name is Tony Meehan, I'm based in London. And as you know, Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine has been going on for more than 1,400 days, with an estimated of 1.2 million Russians killed or wounded. Let's say a prayer for Ukraine. Long may it survive, endure and prevail its current aggression. This week we look at more classic Putin doublespeak, otherwise known as propaganda. With one side of his mouth he offers to avoid all wars, or as he chooses to call them, special military operations. In return, all he asks for is respect and understanding. With the other side of his mouth, and almost the same breath, he threatens a full-scale European war if Lithuania shuts its border with Russia because Russia and Belarus keep infringing its airspace. In Putin speak, you have been warned. Our first shot will always be in our defence, whether that defence is imaginary or real, so don't object if you start a war with Russia. Which of course you wouldn't have done, but you will be held responsible. For his Russian audience, he claims the West profiles Russia as the victim, as the threat, as the enemy. NATO ignores Russia's security interests, such as ignoring Russia's invasion of Ukraine, thereby demonstrating Russia will and can do what Russia wishes with impunity and total disregard for international law. More about that later. Reality check, in general terms. Once you realise that Putin and his group are propagandists, you never know if what they say is truthful. So one is to ignore or dismiss the perceived Russian threats as Putin speak. This is a dangerous move. There are two sides to every conversation. The first is correct, dismiss it and ignore it. The second is you're being set up for a major shock. Here is an example. Putin speak doesn't purely come from the mouth of Putin or the Kremlin. It comes from his friends and his allies. His European mouthpiece is Viktor Orbán, as you know, we said before, who is the leader of Hungary. And he's posed a new question about who actually started the war against Ukraine. Note, against Ukraine. And this is his terms. Speaking to journalists recently after a meeting of the European Council, and as reported by European Pravda, Orbán said it is not clear who attacked whom. This is regarding Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, criticising the European Union's decision to provide a €90 billion loan to Ukraine. Orbán reiterated that the use of frozen assets would be tantamount to a declaration of war. I think hyperbole and also propaganda. And also I think you could quite honestly consider that this is a statement from the Kremlin as opposed to necessary Hungary. He went on to describe as deception the idea that Western countries supposedly believe that this war can be fought without spending a penny. I don't know where he gets that idea from, because most of the European nations and also some who are not part of the European Union, such as America and the United Kingdom, have actually contributed considerable sums, millions if not billions of pounds, shillings and pence to support Ukraine. They calmly believe, quoting Orbán again, they calmly have breakfast at home, drink their coffee and think how morally right it is to help a small country that has been attacked. Here again, he contradicts himself by asking the question who attacked who. He again says that Ukraine was attacked, so therefore he understands that Russia started the war. And he's now helping a country that has been subjected to violence and it costs us nothing. It doesn't, again, hyperbole. If I may say, I think it's about time that Mr. Orbán woke up and smelled the coffee for himself and his citizens. And remember, propaganda has no basis in truth, only the distortions of the speaker's mind. Time for more Putin doublespeak. He's recently named conditions under which there would be no more wars. Now, this is a very strong statement from the Russian president. In a live broadcast reported by BBC Russian service, he said that he wants to be treated with respect so that there will be no more special military operations, as the Russian authorities refer to the war against Ukraine. If you treat us with respect, there will be no new military operations. And take our interests into account, just as we have constantly tried to take yours into account. Now, what they've constantly tried to do is undermine, use and abuse any information and opportunity that they get against, whether it's a real or perceived enemy, NATO, the United States of America, United Kingdom, whoever, EU, they will do so. He also referred to what he claimed as NATO's expansion. NATO's has not expanded per se as a policy. NATO has been asked by countries who feel under threat from Russia for their membership. So if you stop this again, Putin, if you stop deceiving us as you did with NATO's eastward expansion, Putin added that NATO has ignored Russian security interests. Can I remind you for a moment that recent new members of NATO, Sweden, Norway, Lithuania, etc., came to NATO for membership because of the threat of Putin's aggression against Ukraine and also the potential threat of aggression from Putin in the future. He referred to NATO's expansion. If you stop deceiving us as you did with your eastward expansion and don't ignore our security interests. They say we are going to attack Europe. What nonsense is that? No, it's not nonsense, it's real. This is done for domestic political reasons to create an image of Russia as an enemy, quoting Putin. As always, accuse your perceived enemy of your own sins. That's me. Russian leader also claimed he was ready to work with the United States, United Kingdom and Europe, but on an equal footing with mutual respect. You have to earn respect, and you have got a long way to go to do so. Everyone would benefit from that. I totally agree. A full-scale war with Europe is possible and names the conditions. So on one hand he's saying, treat me with respect and there's no wars. Then in the next sentence he's saying, a full-scale war with Europe is possible and names the conditions. Warn that if threats emerge to Kaliningrad Oblast, that's the Kaliningrad region, Russia would eliminate them. Now, the threats he's referring to as the potential for Lithuania to close the border with Russia, eliminating access to Kaliningrad, because, in fact, Russia and Belarus transporting contraband into Lithuania, and they want to do something about it. For example, Lithuanian president suggested closing the border and restricting transit over the use of balloons. Okay, so we're not talking about lorries here, we're talking about balloons for smuggling contraband. Just another example of Putin creating a non-existent anti-Russian aggression to justify a Russian aggression against another neighbouring country. Well, I think that's enough for this podcast, don't you? So from all of us here at the centre in Kyiv, thank you. Please share this with your friends and those you think will be interested. The online address is Russia Unmasked at YouTube. We'll be back with more news from Kyiv soon. Until then, Slav Ukraini. Ukrainians were, are and always will be there. Vladimir Zelensky. Thank you again.